Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And again, we want to thank our patrons. We couldn't do it without all the support over at Patreon.
It definitely makes a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, as always. Lots of things going on, lots of things on people's minds. This is basically a look at the U.S.-Mexican border. We also were watching over at Eagle Pass a live cam. Really, it didn't seem like anything much was happening over there at this point in time. But there's a lot going on everywhere, all across the globe, as we are in a period of rapid change, rapid chaos, and just the rapid unveiling of how in-depth and intricately planned everything really is.
I think it's the planning that, needs to be pointed out because any one of these politicians that are in office right now have been well aware of the situation the entire time. What is it about now, this special moment, that they need to do something about it? What's going on? It's not that they're doing it out of their good heart. It's not that they're doing it because it's the right thing. No, they could have been doing the right thing all along. It's a timing thing.
And we had several videos removed from Evolutionary. At one point in time, there was like 2,000 to 3,000 videos easy up on Evolutionary. There's probably only 300 plus at the moment. And what did they remove it for? It was exactly this. What this is showing is military equipment. Now, do we know exactly where this is? It's supposed to be, again, on the move in Texas. Is it, what side for who, for what, for where? I'll give you guys the links, but at the moment, I'm afraid to actually play it because this is what removed a couple of our videos yesterday. So, again, for whatever reason, they want to cover up military movement. Obviously, there's a lot going down when it comes to that. One of the things, that comes to mind is if we do get to an actual election this year, and I think that's a huge if, huge if, and everybody is talking about this. Will there be an election? First off, RFK Jr. Had tweeted out yesterday how he's going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. This is what he believes. He's going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. And that is interesting because of where he's polling. Now, again, I don't believe any of the numbers in any of the polls. I don't think there's anything we could trust from any official or even unofficial sources. I mean, there's individuals that I trust more because I could feel where they're coming from. But you understand how big this is. This is huge. This is so big. What's going down on the bigger scheme of things. And I don't just mean, 2024 elections in the U.S. because, again, this is for outward appearances as the real control structure is hidden in the shadows. And many people, understand the concept of a deep state. But there again, I think the majority of the world doesn't understand just how deep that that real power structure is or what that real power structure is. And that's part of the great unveiling. If he is on the ballot and they choose to have it go a certain way, it would be such chaos. And it could be something that fits into the paradigm, fits into the script, fits into the great drama in a kind of a perfect manner. Because, again, when you look at it, right now, he's, according to what you're looking at, he's polling about 22 to 24%, according to some sources consistently on average. And, believe it or not, there's still a lot of sources that have the senile one leading the pack, which is just mind-blowing, because there's some polls that show that he's below what Jimmy Carter was at. Again, you can't trust any polls at all. But what happens, because we have an electoral college is what we are told. It's an electoral college. Again, we recognize these are actors. These are all actors. Actors go to Hollywood, actors go to DC, actors go to London, etc. Well, the Electoral College, there's 538 possible electoral votes. You need 270 to win. So when you split that three ways, if it really is something where, it's maybe somewhere in the mid-20s and then two of them in the mid-30s, it's very easy to see that nobody would get 270. Actually, that when you get down to it, that could be a real obvious situation to occur. So what happens then? If nobody gets to 270, then basically what happens is the House of Representatives picks a president from among the three people getting the highest number of votes. So, again, presumably that would be the three we're talking about, Trump, Biden, and RFK Jr. So it would be up to the House of Representatives to vote and pick the president. The Senate would then vote and pick the vice president. So, this is, again, something... can you imagine all sorts of chaos? And it would just be tragically hilarious in so many ways to imagine... a team of two of the three being put together it just shows you that this is a key year. When you look currently at the House, this is the map showing the 2024 House election interactive map, the biennial election for representatives. So that's every other year, the House votes from all 435 congressional districts will take place November 5th, 2024. You should do a astrological reading on the election date too. Talking to Cindy there. So it's going to be the 119th Congress, early January 2025, if that even ever comes together, honestly, the way things are going and with the timeline that it feels in place. Republican Party currently controls the U.S. House, 218 seats needed for a majority. When there are no vacancies. So this shows you what you have at the moment. It's close. And what would really happen? It's just something to think of. And then for the Senate side, there are 38 U.S. Senate seats up for regular election in 2024, 10 held by Republicans, 20 held by Democrats, 3 by independents. Again, same timeline. Obviously. So would somebody get 270 with RFK Jr. On the ballot? I think it's pretty unlikely in reality. But again, it depends on what they want to do with the script. And will we even get to this? I just thought it was something I wanted to throw out there because, it may be a little more chaos for an already insane, chaotic world.
Well, what could possibly go wrong? I wouldn't think that anybody would be getting bought off. I don't think anyone would be blackmailed into selling their vote or anything like that. I don't know. To me, it opens up Pandora's box, but that's what this place does.
Meanwhile, here we have the protest in Paris going to new depths, let's say depths, as they are literally tearing up the roads with tractors. Yes, they are putting cow manure everywhere. They loaded one McDonald's with nothing but cow manure and hay bales. It's definitely going to disrupt things. Of course, the war is going to disrupt things. The attacks on the shipping is going to disrupt things. There's all sorts of disruptions going on. Again, this is your last call, not for alcohol. No, it's not last call for alcohol. It's last call to get the supplies that you need right now. And, for those that do stock up, check your dates. This is something I have on our agenda to do over the next few days, is to make sure we're rotating what we have in the house and make sure that we're utilizing the stuff that will expire first, and then bringing in whatever we can. I know I saw a random question. How prepared are you guys, Mike and Cindy? And I would say we're still not prepared, because I think, unless you're a millionaire or billionaire, it's going to be tough to prepare when you are on a budget. Yet, what do we have stockpiled? We have enough food that we could definitely survive for multiple years. It won't be pleasurable. But hey, when you're starving, yeah, absolutely. A simple bowl of rice, a simple bowl of lentils or stone ground oats, those type of things. We do have some very clean tuna and other things. We have stuff that the dogs could eat in a pinch as well. We have some protein covered for them as well. We're pretty stockpiled, but this is how we have been living for years. And once you already kind of have a practice in place, then it's easier to just tweak it a little bit. Unfortunately, so many people have just relied on things going to be there, and they won't be there in the future on a regular basis. There will be disruptions. There will be rationing. That just happens when you're at war. And then if you put into the fact that we may be at world war and at civil war, it's just chaos, and it's going to be crazy. So how could you possibly prepare for that? Do your best. That's all you can do. And the other thing that is key, and we view it as number one, is being spiritually prepared and rooting and grounding every single day.
Mm-hmm. You really can't beat that, because there's no way to prepare for every little single thing that could possibly fall from the sky. It will drive you crazy if you try to sit there and think, well, I need to prepare for this, I need to get ready for that, It's maddening. And I think that's definitely one of the plans from the controllers, is to get people in a state of chaos, get people in a state of fear, because then they're easily led. They're easily led around. Then what they're looking for is some relief of this fear. So they take the first, best, shiniest looking thing that they think is going to help them, and they grab it and they throw it in their pantry. And it's like, okay, well, now what's next? And there's always something else. But if you get that spiritual practice going, and you have that to fall back on day after day after day, everything that you need, maybe not everything you want, but those things that you need can be obtained through that spiritual practice. It's just something I speak from experience. Been in a lot of pickles in my life, and I fall back on that practice if there's something I need, and it is provided. So that's why we push it so hard, because we're believers, firsthand believers.
Absolutely. So there's definite signs of an invasion of Lebanon by Israel is perhaps imminent, as well as Israel's looking to the north now, and so many sources are talking about this being the next step. Wouldn't be surprised at all, as there's not much left of the Gaza Strip. And that's the sad fact and the sad reality of the situation. What they are doing, again, is pushing the world to the world can't be pushed anymore. And it is, again, creating more anger in those, particularly in certain nations, particularly of a certain religious persuasion, to create that air of retribution, which will then be taken out on all of us. And that's exactly what they're doing. They cover all their bases, and obviously the control system is so greedy. It's so control-oriented, it's so self-centered, it's so selfish, that they've even gone ahead and put in what appears to be new exclusions and expenses not covered by treatment of an injury or a sickness which is due to war, declared or undeclared, riot or insurrection. We kid you not. We touched on this a while ago on Patreon, on our Patreon only, and now these videos are making their rounds, showing major healthcare providers have put in clauses that, in the event that you are killed, in the Civil War, or you receive injuries, you will not be covered. We kid you not. Cigna and United and others as well, Anthem, Yeah, because how do they, is this just basically obvious preparations, or do they completely understand the script? I think, it's not a stretch that somebody with a little intelligence can see what's coming. And certainly that would be something that they would look to cover their potential losses. Yet at the same time, when you recognize this is all one system. Whether we're talking the insurance system, the healthcare system, the military-industrial complex, the political system, even going over into Hollywood and the entertainment system, it's all one system. It's all one system, and yeah, there is some compartmentalization going on, but at the same time, it's all completely orchestrated like the largest, most chaotic symphony, yet in perfect sync with itself. As you have the Biden administration selling the Federal Helium Reserve. Why would they do this? They sold the Federal Helium Reserve. Now, you could say, again, we're obviously in financial issues. Well, yeah, obviously. When you look, and Russia has 10%, less than 10% of our military expenditures, but seemingly they are better prepared than we are for conflict. Something's wrong. Yeah, of course. It's been just all about milking us until there's nothing left, and then setting the house on fire, and then collecting insurance money. This is how they work. Yeah, they're selling the helium stockpile, and this is going to give pipeline that spans Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma to somebody else. At the moment, it seems like it's a German company. And I was trying to do some deep dives into this company. Hadn't really turned up anything unusually interesting at the moment, but maybe somebody out there understands more with this. But, what else do they use helium for besides balloons? Cryogenics, semiconductors, superconductors, rocket technology, the medical field as well. We're being basically dismantled from within. That's really, really obvious. Meanwhile, Biden announces billions in new chip subsidies. Now, where else are they saying we'd have to go and get our helium from? Well, the number one source that I saw mentioned was Russia. Oh, okay. And then obviously we're doing this subsidy act or whatever, the CHIPS Act, to send a lot of dollars over to Taiwan. So we won't be dependent on China, but the reality is Taiwan will soon be under Chinese control. And so probably will be the west coast of the U.S., and we'll have to see how the rest gets divided. So what they're doing here is they're just getting ready for the next stage. And again, this is a war that the NATO countries have been set up so they cannot win, because we've been kind of castrated in a way. Sorry to use that term, but it is what it is. Germany is at it, right? So here's one thing that you see a lot of people talking about. Well, they're letting the migrants in so we can use them in our militaries because we cannot fill up our own militaries. There was another article talking about how the UK warships in the Red Sea can't hit the Houthi areas inland. They've discovered that they don't have the firing capacity and the technical ability to deliver blows inland, and it was due to budget cuts. This has been something that's been planned for decades and decades and decades. Again, we go back to 1871 and Albert Pike talking about 3 world wars. And when you think about what's going to happen, well, I remember the incident, was it in Texas, where somebody was brought in, no, I think it was in the Carolinas, from a different nation, I want to say somewhere over in the Middle East, and they went rogue and started shooting their own people in their own training group. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh, okay, we're going to just, there's not going to be time for this, is part of I don't see there being time for this, unless they fast forward this amazingly quick and they start bringing some of the migrants into the groups, training them, handing them guns, which will then be turned on the other soldiers that are in, say, Germany, if we're talking about Germany.
I don't know, unless it's just something that they've already been doing for a very long time. But then you have to think that a lot of these migrants that have been released from prison, a lot of them have legality issues. And are you really going to give those people a gun and put them in a traumatic situation? Well, yeah, I mean, our control system would. That wouldn't be a problem. But, whenever you view something like this, it's been my experience that it's already been going on for a while somewhere. This is something that's been planned out, but there's you got to think here, well, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we go one step farther. So I'll give you the link. This is a owner of a small bed and breakfast between London and Bristol. And what are they talking about? It's 5 minutes and 43 seconds long. And so they speak about how they were commandeered by 10 Downing Street to rehome refugee families, and it goes on and on. And basically the crux of the situation is that they get a shipment of boxes, big boxes come in, offloaded by military personnel, and she goes poking around and she goes peeking inside these boxes, and there's AKs and grenades. Yeah, this is what we've been saying the whole time. This is what's part of it. This is how you here we are. We're almost one full month into 2024. There's 11 months left to get to those numbers, this little forecast over here. In case, you didn't see, the forecast shows the UK having 15 million people left in it. That's like 75% of the people are no longer in the UK. Do they pack them up and send them off to another country? I'll just leave it at that. And somebody else mentioned Ireland. Ireland was like 77%, and the US is about the same. This is going to be a very, very challenging year. Is it going to be that bad? I think this is what their goal is. I don't think they'll get their goal. But it's a good idea to know what they have as a goal. And again, we have to change the timeline as best as we can. I do think we are changing timelines. But again, a wounded animal can be a dangerous animal. If the Ukraine falls in war, we will lay claim to Transcarpathia. So says the leader of the Hungarian far-right party. And there's been talk also of Poland taking part of Ukraine as well. This could be another thing that makes it so Russia says, no, you can't do that. And then, boom, there you go. They're off to secure that area. I do think the big action is coming in April. I really feel that. Although I think we can have very, very significant events between now and then. I think it's just a constant escalation. But I think, again, the world goes into full-scale warfare in that April to June timeline. I think that's when, it's just obvious, and when we probably will have the preparations for what you see over here. Australia must consider bringing back conscription. All-out war looms. Swedish alarm after defense chief's war warning. And again, telling people, hey, draft is coming. This is what happens to the average person. Of course, the elites don't. They don't have their own fight in these wars typically. Some of them that are crazy enough that they do. And some of them actually enjoy it because, again, these are very, very dark energies at the top of the food chain.
Mm-hmm. And they are, and they all have an agenda. So, I mean, I see the problem is they have hundreds of years of watching this to see how things unfold, to see how they need to get us to move in certain directions, and they really have a good gauge on that too. I mean, they know exactly how to get the human being to do what they need him to do, and we're really in a soft spot because a lot of people are not very hardened, they're not very healthy, So when you are put in a situation where you're in pain or you're in desperate need or you're in want, I mean, you're more apt to do something that you otherwise would not have done. And that's why self-sufficiency comes in like number one right now.
Yes, absolutely. Stay out of the fray. Work together with your local people, and develop your own little tribal community, and try to stay out of the mix of the chaos that's coming. This is talking about how China is leading the way with the UN. Could there be a civil conflict in the U.S., that there's a brokered ceasefire or something like that happens, and they're sending UN troops in to police the ceasefire or something? Oh yeah, absolutely. Because again, who does the UN and the few want to lead the way? They want it to be led by Beijing. This is just obvious. This is that Japanese quake, and this shows a little old lady that was walking down the road kind of obliviously. And this guy sees this lady, and just another act of an angel. The sirens are going off. Female neighbor, see she's walking and stuff. She would have been washed away. But the guy stops. He goes back. He tells her what's going on. She hops in the car, and then as they're speeding off, it comes in, and she would have been just swept away. These are the type of acts, this type of act of courage and compassion is exactly what there's going to be so many of during the time of greatest conflict. And in some ways, the higher self, the real self, because again, we're having a temporary human experience here, is all about learning. These are the greatest opportunities for learning that there is. And this is why we come in here. We do come in here to learn, to grow, and to expand our consciousness. This hit me, and this is right next to the other one that was there yesterday. This is a 3.5. You don't see a lot of 3.5s in Louisiana. This is right again where they have been doing fracking. And so it should show a second one. It's not showing. That's weird. 7 days. Well, let's just go to 7 days. Or do we? This tab has crashed. Mm-hmm. Wow. Holy cow. Sorry, one of your tabs has crashed. Yeah, because, they don't want us showing this. There's a lot going on this map that's unusual. So, again, we've been we've had mines laid all around us with the fracking that's going on. And if you are in Louisiana, in Texas, if you're all over, I mean, there's fracking everywhere. When we were up in New Mexico, I was just blown away by all the fracking up here, close to the Four Corners, one of the safer areas according to Hopi sources. We are getting close to the big ones. The big ones are coming. And there's a lot of crazy, unusual quakes. Here's Greenland. There is a 6.5 over here in Brazil. Now, this is 609.5 kilometers deep. That's about as deep as you ever get. I think the deepest I've ever seen is like 660. Well, good old Dutch would tell you, you can expect a full magnitude higher. That would take you into a 7.5, somewhere along the transference of energy zone. From here, typically it would come down into this terminus, down along either Argentina, Chile, over here towards Antarctica, or it could go across here. But again, this seems to be really locked up, the San Andreas and Cascadia. And I think, in my mind, I feel these two are so likely to go in this year, in 2024. So when I see anything like this and think about the possibility of something higher, it makes me immediately look over in that direction. But again, watch the Caribbean, because we've seen big ones in Haiti and Dominican Republic. That could also be an area that has the potential, and of course all along Mexico and and Central America as well. We are really in curious times. This should tell you what life under Russia and China would be like. Russia's deputy prime minister advocates for fly larvae as a meat alternative. Yes, they are in line with the few. Of course they are. And anybody that thinks Pooty Poot is and Xi are going to be fighting against, no, it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. It's the same handlers. It's the same handlers. They come in, they win the war, and they divide us up. So then what is our chance? Well, again, our chance is the fact that consciousness is expanding. There is a massive awakening. The power transfer to the BRICS nations is not going to last long, because all of society across the globe, those that are not becoming simulated into the Borg, they are going to wake up, and we are awakening to the bigger picture. They're not going to be able to hold on to the whole global pie. So we will be breaking off in small pockets, and we will be starting new, different ways. None of their labels. This is a republic. Well, again, it's all their terminology. Communism, capitalism, socialism. Think beyond all the boxes that they give us in school.
What they really, really love to do is the controllers like to get us to copy them. And as long as we are copying them, they are in control. And they'll put up a facade, and they'll put up fake institutions and pretend that they're utilizing them, including and especially religion. Especially religion. They want us to think that they think highly of the religion that they put out there for the masses, when in reality, you've seen time and time again, they don't believe in it. They've admitted it time and time again. Their children and our children go to completely different schools. So, we have to stop watching them and copying them. If you see them do it, you don't want to be doing it. You want to do something completely different. You want to be your own person. You have a right to do that. This is our God-given right. We came here to be as individual gets. And as things carry on, times get tough, keep looking for that silver lining. It is definitely there. And I just love goats, and I love these big dogs, and there's nothing cuter than a baby goat cuddling with a big dog.
Absolutely. So while we're waiting for the lion and the lamb to lie together, this will do.
It'll work.
As always, guys, thanks for your support. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.